I slid into the velvet booth at Le Cirque like I owned the joint. Chanel clutch hitting the table with a thud that shut my sister's trap mid-sentence, while the sommelier popped a 2K bottle of Screaming Eagle without even asking, because yeah, I'm that regular. Can you even afford to eat here? Victoria sneered, her Botoxed forehead trying to frown and failing like a bad TikTok filter. She flipped her platinum extensions, diamond tennis bracelet flashing under the crystal chandeliers, acting like she wasn't drowning in alimony debt from husband number 3. Dad nearly choked on his 82 Bordeaux, red wine dribbling down his chin like a horror movie prop. Mom clutched her pearls. Literal pearls. The ones Dad bought her after his first heart attack to say, "Sorry, I almost died and left you with these vultures." Then the maitre d' rided over, white gloves and all, bowing like I was frickin' royalty. "Welcome back, Miss Lita, your usual table by the window. And shall I send Chef Alon one regards?" Victoria's jaw hit the white truffle risotto. Let me rewind this hot mess express, because this dinner wasn't just about flexing. It was the opening shot in a war I didn't even know I'd been drafted into. I'm Lita Voss, 32, self-made crypto queen, net worth north of 9 figures after I flipped a DeFi protocol into a unicorn last year. I flew in from Miami on my G650, fresh from closing a deal with a Saudi prince who wanted to NFT his camel collection. Don't ask. I'd invited the fam to Le Cirque, NYC's most exclusive spot, reservation list longer than a CVS receipt, to celebrate Dad's retirement from hedge fund hell. Thought it'd be kumbaya and caviar. Instead, my sister decided to audition for Real Housewives of Mean Girls. Victoria's always been the golden child. Miss Texas runner-up, married a plastic surgeon at 22, 2 perfect kids in private school, McMansion in Highland Park. Me, the black sheep who dropped out of SMU to code in a garage, lived on Red Bull and spite until Forbes called me the blockchain Barbie. She hates that I out-earned her trust fund by 25 emics. Hates that I don't need a ring to buy my own rocks. Hates that I'm the one Dad calls when the market tanks. So yeah, when she saw me in custom Laquan Smith, thigh-high slit, backless, diamonds dripping like a chandelier, she smelled blood. "Still playing with your little computer game," she'd cooed in the foyer, loud enough for the valet to hear. "Some of us build real empires." Translation: some of us married money while you hustled for it. Now, in the booth, Dad wiped his chin with a napkin monogrammed in gold thread. "Victoria, enough. Lita is paying." "Oh, is she?" Victoria's laugh was sharp as her Louboutin stilettos. "With what? Daddy's Amex?" I smiled slow and lethal. "Nah, sis. With the royalties from the patent you tried to steal in 2019. The table went quieter than a Tesla in stealth mode. Mom's fork froze midair, foie gras quivering. Victoria's husband Trent, Botox Ken doll number 3, suddenly found his phone fascinating. Dad's eyes narrowed. The waiter returned with my usual: Wagyu tartare, gold leaf, truffle foam. "Compliments of chef," he murmured, sliding a black card across the linen. "VIP black. Unlimited credit. Invite only." Victoria's eyes bugged. She'd applied last year, got waitlisted. "Shall I open the 61 Petrus for the table?" the sommelier asked. I nodded. 18K a bottle. Victoria's face cycled through green, red, purple, like a busted traffic light. Dad cleared his throat. "Lita, honey, maybe ease up? Your sister's had a tough year." Tough year? She'd blown through Trent's settlement on Birkins and fillers. Meanwhile, I'd wired Dad $2 million to cover his margin calls when the market dipped. Ungrateful, didn't cover it. Victoria leaned in, voice syrupy venom. "Careful, little sis, money can't buy class. Or family loyalty." I raised my glass. "To family. May we all get what we deserve." After dinner, I Uber-blocked to my Tribeca penthouse. 52nd floor, Hudson views, smart everything. The doorman Luis saluted with a grin. "Miss Voss, package came. Looks fancy." Upstairs, I kicked off my heels, poured a nightcap from the crystal decanter. The package sat on the marble island. Black box, gold ribbon, no return address.
Inside, a single USB drive and a note in Victoria's handwriting. Play me, XOXO. I plugged it into my MacBook. Video file. Grainy footage. My bedroom. My bedroom. Me and Trent? No. Wait, that wasn't me. Same hair, same body double I'd seen on Victoria's Insta stories. Deepfake. But the audio? My voice moaning his name? My stomach lurched. She'd faked a sex tape with her own husband to frame me? The video ended with text. One click and this hits page 6. Unless... My phone buzzed. Victoria. TikTok, $10 million by Friday, or the world thinks you're sleeping with your brother-in-law. P.S. Check your offshore. I logged into my Cayman account, $9.8 million. Gone. Transferred yesterday. To an account labeled VNT Holdings. She hadn't just deep-faked me, she'd robbed me. I called my fixer, Jax, ex-CIA, current problem solver, paid in crypto and NDAs. He answered from a yacht in Ibiza. Lita, you sound like someone peed in your Cheerios. Worse, my sister drained my trust and faked a porn vid. I need eyes on her yesterday. On it. Also, heads up, your bother's broker called. He's liquidating assets, fast. Dad? Liquidating? He'd sworn he was done gambling on options. I dialed him voicemail. Mom, straight to voicemail. Trent, same.
Panic clawed my throat. I booked the first flight to Dallas, private because commercial is for peasants, wheels up in 2 hours. At Teterboro, paparazzi swarmed. Lida, is it true you're bankrupt? Sources say you embezzled from your own company. Victoria's opening salvo. She'd leaked to TMZ. On the plane, I scrolled X, hashtag Lida Voss scandal, trending, deepfake clips already viral, my board texting, emergency meeting Monday. I landed at Love Field, Uber Black to Victoria's estate in University Park. Gates locked, security goons at the door. New hires, not the usual rent-a-cops. I flashed my ID. Tell Mrs. Barlow her sister's here to collect. One goon smirked. Mrs. Barlow ain't seen nobody, especially not thieves. 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 I smiled, sweet as Splenda. Cool. Tell the FBI's en route. Wire fraud's federal bucko. His face paled. Gates buzzed open. Victoria's mansion, pink brick, Grecian columns, and a fountain with cherubs peeing looked like Lisa Frank threw up on Versailles. Inside, marble floors, crystal chandeliers, a grand staircase screaming, I married money. She waited in the foyer, arms crossed, rocking a white pantsuit like she was auditioning for The Devil Wears Prada Texas edition. Couldn't stay away, could you? Desperate for your money back? I stepped close, voice low. You've got 72 hours to wire it back, or the deepfake hits the dark web with your face on it. Her smirk faltered. You wouldn't? Try me. Trent appeared at the top of the stairs, shirtless, holding a scotch. Ladies, play nice. Lida, join me upstairs. We'll negotiate. Victoria's eyes flashed. Jealousy? Or part of the con? I laughed. Hard pass, Kendall. Keep your tiny assets. Dad's voice boomed from the study. Lida, that you? He shuffled out, pale, tie askew. We need to talk. Family meeting. Now. Dad's study, mahogany, leather, Wall Street Journal stacked like bricks. Mom sat on the Chesterfield, eyes red. Trent poured drinks, Victoria hovered like a vulture. Dad dropped a bomb. I'm selling the ranch, the Hamptons house, everything. Need liquidity. Mom sobbed. It's her, isn't it? That woman. Victoria rolled her eyes. Mom, get over it. Dad's midlife crisis is ancient history. Midlife crisis? Dad was 71. I leaned in. Who's the woman? Dad avoided my gaze. Doesn't matter. Point is, I'm tapped out. Lida, I need a loan. $15 million
quietly. Victoria snorted. From her? She's broke, Daddy. Check page 6. I pulled up my phone. Bank app. The 9.8 mil was back, plus interest. V&T Holdings dissolved. Victoria's face drained of color. How? Magic! Or maybe I just hacked better than you faked. Dad looked between us, confused. Girls, enough. Lida, the loan. I stood. No loan, but I'll buy the ranch, cash, today. Title in my name. Victoria lunged. You can't! That's our legacy! Legacy? I laughed. You sold your soul for fillers. I built mine from code. As I stormed out, my phone buzzed. Unknown number. Voicemail. A woman's voice trembling. Miss Voss, it's Elena, your dad's assistant for 20 years. He's not retiring. He's running. There's a warrant. Embezzlement. $50 million. And Victoria? She's not his daughter. She's mine. I froze on the driveway, heels sinking into pea gravel. Dad wasn't Dad. Victoria wasn't sis, and the money, just the tip of a very dirty iceberg.
I gripped the steering wheel of my rented Lambo so hard the leather squeaked, tearing out of Victoria's driveway like a bat out of hell, while Elena's voicemail looped in my brain. Dad's a fraud, Victoria's her kid, and the feds are circling like sharks at a chum bucket. The Texas sun beat down on the hood, turning the car into a microwave, but I was ice cold inside, replaying every family barbecue, every Christmas card, every love you from a man who might have been playing us like a fiddle for decades. I punched the dash, Bluetooth blasting Morgan Wallen to drown the noise in my skull. My phone kept pinging, board members, PR team, Jax with updates. I ignored them all and floored it to the Highland Park police station. If Dad was bolting, I needed answers before he hit the border. I skidded into the lot, heels clicking on asphalt hot enough to fry an egg. Inside, the AC hit like a polar bear hug. Desk Sergeant, buzz cut, name tag Rodriguez, looked up from his Whataburger. Help you, ma'am? Lida Voss. Need to speak to whoever's handling white color. Urgent. I slid my black Amex across the counter like a bribe. He didn't touch it, but his eyes widened. Recognized the name from the news. Detective Harlan's on the Voss case. Give me a sec. He buzzed me through. Harlan's office was a closet with a desk and a fan that wheezed like my grandma after stairs. He was mid-40s, dad bod, wedding ring tan line. Ms. Voss. Sit. Coffee? Black. Strong. Talk. He slid a folder thicker than a Bible. Your father, Charles Voss, has been under investigation for 18 months. Embezzled $52 million from client accounts at Voss Capital. Offshore shells, fake audits, the works. Warrant dropped this morning. My coffee tasted like ash. Where is he? Private airstrip in Addison. Jet-fueled, flight plan to Caracas. Non-extradition. I stood so fast the chair rolled into the wall. I'm stopping him. Harlan raised a brow. You'll need probable cause for a citizen's arrest and backup. I was already dialing Jax. Addison airstrip. Now. Bring heat. Jax rolled up in a blacked-out Tahoe, ex-SEAL riding shotgun, both packing. I hopped in the back, traded heels for Nikes from the trunk. The airstrip was a ghost town. Private hangars, no TSA bull snot. Dad's Gulfstream gleamed under floodlights. Stairs down, engines humming. We parked behind a fuel truck. Jax handed me a vest. Non-lethal if possible, but he runs, we drop him. I nodded, heart jackhammering. Dad stood on the tarmac in a linen suit, arguing with a pilot. Mom wasn't there, thank God. Victoria neither. Just Dad in a roller bag that probably held bearer bonds and bad decisions. I stepped into the light. Going somewhere, Pops? He spun, face crumpling like wet paper. Lida? Sweetheart, this is a misunderstanding. Save it for the judge. I gestured to Jax. Charles Voss, you're under citizen's arrest for embezzlement. Hands up. The pilot bolted. Dad didn't. He dropped to his knees, sobbing. I did it for the family. Markets crashed. Clients panicked. I borrowed to cover... Borrowed? I laughed, bitter. You stole. 52 mil. My college fund was in those accounts. Jax cuffed him.
Local PD screeched in minutes later. Harlan had called it in. Dad was loaded into a cruiser, still blubbering. I watched the taillights fade, feeling nothing. Numb like Novocaine. Back at the ranch, 6,000 acres of longhorns and legacy, I met Mom in the great room. Fireplace crackling, mounted bucks staring down like judgmental uncles. She clutched a tumbler of bourbon, eyes swollen. He confessed everything. The affair, Victoria, the money. I sank onto the leather couch. Alina? Mom nodded. His secretary. 1989. I was pregnant with you, thought Victoria was premature. She wasn't. Charles paid Alina hush money for years. When it ran out, she threatened disclosure. So he cooked the books. My brain short-circuited. Victoria, my bully, my rival, wasn't blood, just a dirty secret in designer heels. Where's Elena now? Dead. Overdose. 2015. But she left a letter. With her lawyer. DNA results. Victoria knows. I pulled up my phone, hacked Victoria's cloud last year for kicks, found the letter, scanned it, DNA match 99.9% mother-daughter, no Voss genes. I forwarded it to Victoria. No text. Let the PDF do the talking. Her reply came as a voice note, screaming, glass-shattering. You think this changes anything? I'm still the heiress. Daddy promised. I drove to her mansion at dawn, gates open, chaos inside. Moving trucks, boxes, Trent loading a Porsche with golf clubs. Victoria stood in the driveway, mascara streaking, hurling Louis Vuittons into a pile. You ruined us, she shrieked. Nah, I said, stepping over a shattered vase. You ruined you. Dad's in lockup, accounts frozen, and guess what? The ranch? I closed yesterday. Cash. My name on the deed. She lunged, nails out. I sidestepped. She face-planted into a box labeled kitchen, fragile. Trent didn't even help, just kept packing. I crouched. You want war? You got it. But first, wire my 9.8 mil back now. She spat dirt. Go to hell.
Already been. Sent you a postcard. I nodded to Jax, lurking by the Lambo. He held up his phone, live feed to the FBI tip line. Victoria's bank logs, deep fake source code, all queued. She crumbled. Fine, transferring. Ping, money back. Plus a 2 mil apology fee I'd tacked on. Monday, emergency board meeting at Voss Capital HQ. Glass walls, Manhattan views, sharks in suits. I walked in wearing revenge like couture. Dad's seat empty, Victoria banned, non-air. Chairwoman, silver-haired dragon lady named Ruth, slammed the gavel. Motion to remove Charles Voss as CEO. All in favor. Unanimous. Motion to appoint interim CEO. I raised my hand. I nominate myself. I'll stabilize the funds. Repay clients from my personal liquidity. $60 million day one. Jaws dropped. Ruth smiled. First time ever. Any opposed? Crickets. I was in. That night, alone in the ranch master, 4-poster bed, antler chandelier, I got a text from an unknown number. Photo. A pregnancy test. Positive. Caption. Congratulations, Auntie. It's Trent's. Victoria doesn't know yet. Sender. Elena's old lawyer, with a DNA kit addressed to me. Victoria wasn't just a fraud. She was about to be a single mom, and the baby might rewrite the will. I stared at the pregnancy test on the marble vanity, 2 pink lines screaming louder than a Dallas Cowboys touchdown, while the DNA kit sat unopened like a grenade with the pin half pulled, and realized my fake sister was about to drop a real heir into this dumpster fire of a dynasty. The ranch bathroom echoed with my ragged breathing, steam from the clawfoot tub fogging the mirror where I'd scrawled, "Who am I?" in lipstick like some bad country song. Trent's baby, Victoria's womb, Dad's empire crumbling, and me, holding the match. I splashed cold water on my face, diamonds from my ears clinking into the sink like ice cubes in a rocks glass. My phone buzzed nonstop, Ruth demanding Q3 projections.
Jax with surveillance on Victoria's OBGYN, Mom leaving voicemails that cracked like thunder. I muted everything and cracked open the DNA kit, swabbed my cheek, sealed it. FedEx pickup at dawn. Truth or consequences, baby. I Uber-blacked to Victoria's new crash pad, a tacky Airbnb in Preston Hollow, all beige and desperation. She answered the door in a silk robe 2 sizes too big, hair in a messy bun that screamed, "I give up." Her belly? Barely a bump under the fabric, but the ultrasound pic on the fridge confirmed. 10 weeks. "You here to gloat?" she spat, blocking the entry. "Nah, here to negotiate." I pushed past, dropped a manila envelope on the kitchen island. "Paternity results. Trent's the daddy. Congrats." She ripped it open, face going ghost white. "He swore it was impossible. Vasectomy reversal failed." "Failed like your marriage," I cut in. "Sign the NDA. You get $5 million trust for the kid, college paid, health insurance. In exchange, you vanish. No more scams, no media, no claiming Voss blood." She laughed, manic. "I'm having a Voss heir." "Half Voss," I corrected. "And 0 claim unless Dad rewrites the will from a jail cell, which he won't." Her knees buckled. She sank onto a bar stool, robe slipping off one shoulder. "I hate you." "Feelings mutual, sis." I softened, just a hair. "But that baby didn't ask for the circus. Let me help." Tears streaked her fillers. For the first time, she looked human. Next stop, Trent's plastic surgery clinic in Uptown. Botox Palace. White walls, Enya on loop, receptionists with lips like inner tubes. He was mid-consult with scalpel in hand when I barged into the OR. "Security!" he yelped, dropping the knife. I flashed a court order. "Paternity suit. Step away from the facelift." Patients gasped behind curtains. Trent peeled off gloves, face redder than a stop sign. "This is harassment." "Nah, it's discovery." I slapped the ultrasound on his tray. "Your swimmers work overtime. Congrats, Daddy." He glanced at the image, then at me, panic in his baby blues. "Victoria can't know I paid for the reversal. She'll take everything." "Already knows," I lied. "Sign over your shares in Voss Capital, or I leak the vasectomy fail to page 6. He scribbled on the dotted line, faster than a kid cheating on a math test. 12% stake. Mine. I found Mom in the Chanel boutique trying on sunglasses like armor. She spotted me in the mirror, eyes puffy behind oversized frames. "Your father's lawyer called. Plea deal, 10 years. He wants visitation." I hugged her, Chanel number 5 mixing with tears. "He doesn't deserve it." "He's still my husband," she whispered. 40 years, the lies, the baby. We sat in the dressing room, knees touching. I told her about Victoria's pregnancy, the DNA, the empire I was rebuilding brick by brick. She clutched my hand. "You're the daughter I prayed for. Strong, smart. Don't let them break you." "I won't," I promised. "But I need the original will. Dad's safe, the one before Elena." Her eyes widened. "It's in the lake house. Floor safe. Codes our wedding date." Lake Texoma at midnight. Moon like a spotlight. Crickets chirping gossip. The cabin hadn't changed. Pine walls, Dad's old fishing rods, Mom's quilts. I punched 061468 into the safe. Click. Inside, yellowed envelope labeled Last Will, Charles Voss. I photographed every page. Dad left everything to Mom and biological children. Victoria? A $1 million trust, nothing more. Dated 1990, before he knew about the affair. My phone buzzed. Jax. "Victoria's at the clinic, early ultrasound. Trent is with her." I sped back to Dallas, arriving as they exited. Victoria glowed. Maternity glow or Botox, hard to tell. Trent carried a sonogram like a trophy. I intercepted. "Cute, but the will says the kid gets zilch unless it's Voss blood." Victoria's smile vanished. "You're bluffing." "Am I?" I airplayed the will to the clinic TV, gasps from nurses. Trent went pale. Victoria lunged for my phone. I held it high. "Touch me and I press charges for assault, pregnant or not." She backed down, hand on her belly. "What do you want?" "Walk away. Take the 5 mil, raise your kid without the poison. Trent nodded furiously. Deal. Victoria's eyes filled. You're erasing me. You erased yourself, I said, years ago. Back at the ranch, I poured a bourbon on the porch, stars winking like paparazzi. My phone lit up. Email from the DNA lab. Subject, paternity results, urgent. I opened it. The baby wasn't Trent's. It was Dad's. Conceived during a business trip last year, Victoria was carrying her own half-sibling. And the due date matched Dad's prison release. I sat on the tailgate of my F-150 under a Texas sky, bleeding orange and purple, the DNA report trembling in my manicured hands like a winning lottery ticket dipped in acid, because the baby Victoria was baking wasn't Trent's love child, it was Dad's full-on felony spawn. The ranch smelled like mesquite and betrayal, cicadas screaming louder than my conscience as I drove out to the back 40, no cell service, no jacks, no Victoria's fake tears, to process the nuclear bomb the lab had dropped. The timeline lined up like a rigged slot machine. Dad's heart conference in Vegas last February, Victoria's girls' trip to the same hotel, 9 months till November. The kid would slide into the world the same week Dad slid out of federal prison, if the plea stuck. I chugged a Lone Star, glass bottle, sweating like a sinner in church. My phone finally caught a bar and exploded. Mom, Ruth, the SEC tip line. But I ignored them all and opened the full report. Probability of paternity, 99.9998%. Dad's DNA lifted from a coffee cup I'd swiped at visitation. Victoria's prenatal blood panel, hacked by Jax for a cool $50K. I laughed until I cried, tears mixing with beer foam. This wasn't just drama, it was Game of Thrones with Whataburger and trust funds. Next morning, I rolled up to FCI Seagoville in a pantsuit sharp enough to cut glass. Dad shuffled into the visitation room in orange scrubs, hair grayer than yesterday, eyes bloodshot from crying or commissary hooch. "Pumpkin," he croaked, reaching for the glass. I didn't pick up the phone, just slid the DNA report under the slot. "Explain." His face collapsed like a bad souffle. "It was one night. Victoria was upset about Trent. I was drunk. She said she was on the pill." "Stop." My voice cracked the plexi. You're your daughter, you sick fuh." "Was," he whispered. "Elena's kid. Not mine by blood. It felt different." I gagged. "Different? You knocked up your affair baby with your actual grandkid? That's some Maury-level trash." He pressed his forehead to the glass. "I'll fix it. Plead to more time. Disinherit her. Protect you." "Too late," I said. "The will's ironclad. Biological kids only. This baby, screwed 6 ways to Sunday." I tracked Victoria to a high-risk OB in Plano. Fancy joint with valet and placenta facials. She waddled out in maternity Balenciaga, Trent trailing with a diaper bag like a pack mule. I intercepted in the parking garage. "Congrats, Mama," I said, waving the report. "Daddy's the baby daddy." She froze, Louis Vuitton sunglasses slipping. "You're lying. Science don't lie. Unlike you." I airplayed the results to her Tesla screen. Trent read one line and puked into a potted plant. Victoria's knees buckled. "He said it was impossible. After the vasectomy." "Snip don't mean sterile, genius." I crouched. "Here's the deal."
You disappear. Switzerland. I fund the kid till 18. Private school, therapy, the works. In exchange, you sign away all Voss claims. Forever. Trent nodded like a bobblehead. "We'll take it over my dead body," she hissed. "Keep pushing," I warned, "and it'll be over your broke body." SEC's auditing Voss Capital. Dad's naming names. Guess whose Cayman accounts are next? She clutched her belly, tears real for once. "I just wanted to matter." "You mattered," I said softly. "Then you chose greed."
Ruth called an emergency shareholder call. Zoom, 200 investors, feds listening in. I laid it out. Dad's fraud, Victoria's blackmail, the pregnancy bombshell. Gasps echoed through fiber optic cables. Ruth's voice cut like a diamond blade. Lyda's injecting $100 million personal capital. Full restitution by Q1. Motion to freeze Charles Boss assets? Unanimous. Next day, the SEC raided Dad's storage unit in Irving. Found bearer bonds, Krugerrands, and, jackpot, a burner phone with texts to Victoria. Dad. Baby's a boy. Name him Charles III. He'll inherit everything. Victoria. Only if Lyda's out of the picture. Accident? Overdose? My blood ran colder than a Yeti in January. They'd plotted murder. Jack set the trap. Fake hitman. Undercover fed named Rico. Texting Victoria. $500K. Lyda vanishes. Clean. She bit. Wired $250K from a diaper fund. Rico recorded everything. I watched from a surveillance van as Victoria met him at Whataburger off 635. Maternity leggings, sunglasses, envelope of cash. Make it look like a mugging. She jogs at White Rock at 5 a.m. Cuffs snapped. Her arrest hit TMZ before sunset. Hashtag Voss Baby Mama trended. I sat in the ranch kitchen while Mom iced a cake that said, "Justice tastes sweet." Then my phone buzzed. Blocked number. Dad's voice, broken. "There's a safe deposit box. Chase Bank, Uptown. Key in my golf bag. If anything happens to me in here, use it." I tore apart the bag, found the key. The box held a single flash drive labeled insurance. I plugged it in. Video. Dad, younger with a woman who wasn't Mom or Elena. And she looked just like me. I sat cross-legged on the ranch office floor at 2 a.m., flash drive glowing like a demon straight out of the pits of hell, in the pitch-black dark, while a 20-year-old video played Dad whispering sweet nothings to a woman who could have been my frickin' twin. Same hazel eyes that sparkled like mischief on steroids, same smirk that screamed, "Don't mess with Texas," louder than a Longhorns tailgate, same attitude that could launch 1,000 startups and crash a dozen more just for kicks. And suddenly, every mirror in the house felt like a bald-faced lie staring back at me with my own face, but somebody else's soul. The woman, Serena Tane, laughed on screen like the world was her playground, tossing dark hair over a shoulder in slow-motion glory, wearing an SMU hoodie faded from too many frat party washes, and a smile that could launch 1,000 startups or sink a battleship, depending on the day. Dad, 30 years younger, no gray streaks, no guilt weighing down his shoulders like a sack of feed, poured her champagne in a dorm room plastered with Bush Quayle posters that screamed 1992, louder than a George Strait concert, bubbles fizzing like fireworks in cheap plastic cups. "You're gonna change the world, baby girl," he said, voice smooth as aged bourbon, eyes locked on her like she was the only stock worth buying. "And I'm gonna bankroll every damn dream you got." My stomach flipped harder than a bad crypto dip during a flash crash, bile rising like I'd swallowed a whole bottle of Tabasco. I paused the video, zoomed in on her face till the pixels screamed. Same cheekbones, sharp enough to cut glass. Same freckle on the left jaw that I'd hidden with concealer since middle school. Same everything that made strangers do double takes my whole life. I grabbed my phone with hands shaking worse than a caffeine junkie on day 3 of detox, reverse image search like my life depended on it. Because it kind of did. Hit after hit exploded across the screen. Serena Kane, valedictorian 99, debate champ, future CEO material, vanished senior year, like a ghost in a bad war flick. No graduation pics, no LinkedIn profile, bragging about exits, no trace, no forwarding address, nada. Just a black hole where a legend should have been. I called Jax at 3 a.m., voice cracking like a teenager. "Dig up everything on Serena Kane, SMU, 1999. Now, I don't care if you gotta hack the dean's grandma's Facebook." He didn't even yawn, voice gravelly but alert like a Navy SEAL on Red Bull. "On it, boss. Also, heads up, your mom's at the ER. Chest planes. Presbyterian. Get there yesterday." I blew every red light from the ranch to Dallas Presby, Lambo screaming like a banshee on bath salts, tires squealing louder than a pig at the county fair. The ER smelled like antiseptic and panic, fluorescent lights buzzing like angry hornets overhead. Dr. Patel, tiny woman, big voice that could command a battlefield, met me in the hall, scrubs crisp, stethoscope swinging like a pendulum. Stress-induced arrhythmia. She's stable, but she asked for you. Only you. No visitors, no phones, no drama.
Tears blurred the ink till the words swam, my chest heaving with sobs that came from somewhere deeper than bones. She'd been there. Birthday cards wired from anonymous accounts, tuition payments that showed up like miracles, donations to my coding camps that I'd thanked Dad for, thinking he was the hero. Every milestone, every win, she'd been the shadow cheering loudest. My phone buzzed. Jack's, voice tight. Serena Kane's alive and kicking ass. Running Voss Ventures in Austin, VC firm, $2 billion net worth easy. Goes by SK Voss now. Boarded up the pass tighter than Fort Knox. I stared at the letters, purple ink bleeding into my fingers. SK Voss. My mom. Not Gamma, not some fairy tale. Real flesh, real billions, real absence that had carved a canyon in my chest. I chartered a hopper to Austin, blades slicing the hill country like a hot knife through butter, wind whipping my hair into a tornado of rage and regret. Landed on the rooftop of Voss Ventures, glass tower shooting into the sky like a middle finger to gravity. Tesla charging stations humming, murals of unicorns and rockets screaming, "Disrupt or die." Serena's assistant, tall, tattooed, nose ring glinting like a warning, met me at the helipad, arms crossed. "Miss Kane's in a pitch, Series C for an AI startup. She'll see you after." I wasn't waiting for after. I barged through the glass doors like a storm front, heels clicking across marble that cost more than most people's houses. Boardroom doors flew open. 20 tech bros in Patagonia vests froze mid-slide, lattes halfway to their beards. Serena stood at the head in a tailored blazer that hugged like armor, Louboutins sharp enough to stab a deal, hair in a sleek ponytail that said, "I run this." She locked eyes with me, and the dry erase marker slipped from her manicured fingers, clattering like a gunshot in the silence. "Lyda?" Her voice cracked. The pitch deck forgotten on the screen behind her, graphs plunging like my stomach. The room cleared faster than a bar at closing time, chairs scraping, excuses mumbled, door clicking like a vault. She rounded the table slow, arms out like I was a spooked horse. I stepped back, fists clenched so tight my nails drew blood. "You left me. Packed up and ghosted like I was yesterday's trash." Her face crumpled harder than a Tesla in a demolition derby, eyes filling faster than a flash flood. I was 20, broke as a joke. Charles threatened to bury me in court, take you before I could blink, ruin any shot I had at a future. $1 million sounded like oxygen, like a lifeline, like the only way to build something worthy of you. Oxygen? I barked a laugh wet with snot and fury. I grew up thinking Dad was a king on a throne of gold. You were a ghost story Gamma told to scare me into behaving. Don't end up like Serena, running off with nothing but regrets. I scrubbed in, heart in my throat pounding harder than bass at a trap concert, hands still smelling like ranch dust and desperation. Mom was in ICU. Monitors beeping a symphony of worry, IV dripping clear liquid like slow-motion tears, face gray as January skies over the panhandle. She looked fragile under the harsh lights, wedding ring loose on her finger like it was thinking about jumping ship after 40 years. "Lyda?" she rasped, gripping my hand with strength that surprised me, nails digging in like she was anchoring herself to the earth. "Safe deposit box. Your name on it. Charles added you after Serena." "Serena?" My voice cracked, wider than the Grand Canyon, throat raw. She nodded, tears slipping down cheeks that had laughed through decades of barbecues and boardrooms. "Serena was wild. Free spirit, they called it. Got pregnant at 19.
Some frat boy. Some mistake. Charles panicked. His career just taking off, the firm, the image, paid her to vanish, like a bad investment. She took the money, left you with me the day you were born, said she'd come back when she was ready, when she had something to offer besides love. I stared at my hands, manicured, steady from years of keyboards and keynotes, but now trembling like leaves in a tornado. I'm adopted? Raised on lies? No, Mom whispered, voice fierce despite the weakness. You're hers. Charles raised you as his, signed the papers, loved you in his broken way. I loved you like my own from the first cry, the first smile, the first time you said Gamma instead of Mama. But Serena, she wrote letters. Every birthday, every milestone. I kept them. In the lake house attic, shoebox under the eaves. L.K. Do not open. I tore through the lake house at dawn, sun barely peeking over the water like it was scared to witness this mess. Dusty boxes exploding like confetti of hell, moth-eaten quilts smelling like forgotten summers, Christmas ornaments from the 90s tangled in tinsel that glittered like fake promises. Found the shoebox labeled LK, do not open, in Mom's careful cursive, heart pounding as I pried the lid like it was Pandora's worst nightmare. Inside, letters in purple ink that hadn't faded, Polaroids of baby me with a woman who looked like my reflection in a funhouse mirror. Same eyes, same grin, same everything. Dear Lightbug, one read, ink smudged like tears had fallen mid-sentence. Mommy's building something big, so you never have to want for nothing. Be good for Gamma. She's got the best hugs. I'll come home soon, promise. Love, S. Another, crayon drawings tucked inside. You're 3 today, sweet pea. I sent the pony, white with a black star, just like you drew. Gamma says you named her Blockchain because it's the future. LOL, kiddo. Miss your giggles more than Whataburger at 2 a.m. She pulled a Polaroid from her wallet. Worn edges, colors faded, but the image sharp. Me at 5, gap-tooth grin, hugging a stuffed Bitcoin like it was a teddy bear. I never stop watching, Lita. Every hackathon win, every Forbes cover, every time you flipped a startup for 9 figures, I was in the nosebleeds, the back row, the shadows. Invisible, but screaming your name. I swallowed glass, throat raw. Why surface now after 32 years of radio silence? Because Charles is done, caged like the animal he became. And you're endangered deeper than you know. Victoria's not just desperate, she's deranged. Off her rocker, bat crap crazy. Hired a PI with a drone fleet to dig up dirt on you. Found me. Photos, addresses, routines. She slid a dossier across the table. Heavy, black, stamped, confidential in red. Photos spilled out. Me, jogging White Rock at dawn, sweat dripping, grocery shopping at Central Market, arms full of kale and kombucha, asleep in my Tribeca penthouse, city lights painting my face through floor-to-ceiling windows, drone shots, timestamps, notes on my coffee order, my dry cleaner, my soul cycle class. A burner phone log. Victoria to PI. Find the mother, use her as leverage, or bait. My skin crawled like 1,000 fire ants at a picnic. She's gonna kidnap you? Blackmail me into signing over the empire? Worse, Serena said, voice steel under the tremble. She wants you gone, erased. Thinks if you're out of the picture, the baby inherits everything. Ranch, funds, legacy. Doesn't matter if it's incest on paper. She cares about winning, about being the last Voss standing. I pulled the DNA report from my bag, the one proving Dad's the father, the felony cherry on this dumpster fire Sunday. Baby's incest, Will's void faster than a bad NFT. She's delusional. Serena's eyes hardened to diamonds. Delusional don't care about legal. Delusional cares about headlines, about power, about revenge. We end this tonight. We hatched a plan over Topo Chicos and takeout brisket. Fake my death, lure Victoria out like a rat to cheese, let the feds swoop in with cuffs and cameras. Serena wired 50 mil to a decoy account labeled Lita Emergency Trust. Bait shiny enough to blind. Jax rigged the crash site. Lambo totaled on a back road outside Waco. Body double in the driver's seat. Paid actress with my build, my hair, blood packets, and movie magic for the win. News hit at 6 a.m. like a nuclear blast. Crypto heiress Lita Voss dead at 32 in fiery crash. Foul play suspected. TMZ, CNN, X, hashtag Lita Voss rip, trending harder than a Super Bowl halftime show. I watched from a safe house in Waco that smelled like stale pizza and justice. Serena beside me on a sagging couch, sipping Topo Chico like it was victory champagne. Victoria's reaction, live streamed on X, sobbing in a cemetery she'd never visited, black veil, dramatic as a telenovela, Oscar-worthy hysterics that'd make Meryl Streep jealous. My sister, gone too soon, the empire was hers. But then, my burner buzzed like a hornet in a jar. Text from Dad's prison commissary account. How he hacked that, I'll never know. Dad, I know you're alive, pumpkin. Safe deposit box number 2, First Republic, Uptown. Key in Serena's old SMU yearbook, page 69, Homecoming Queen crowning. It's not over. Trust no one. Survive tomorrow. I flipped to page 69 in the yearbook, Jax overnighted. Photo of Serena in a tiara, smile blinding. Taped inside, a tiny gold key and a note in Dad's handwriting, shaky but clear. The real heiress isn't Victoria or the baby. It's you, Lita. Blood, code, choice, but only if you survive tomorrow. The well holds the rest. My heart stopped, restarted, pounded like a jackhammer on Red Bull. Serena grabbed my hand, eyes wide. We're not done. Not even close. I stood in the vault at First Republic Bank at the crack of dawn, fluorescent lights buzzing like angry hornets on a triple-shot espresso bender, while the safe deposit box yawned open like a dragon's mouth ready to spit fire and regret, revealing a single ledger bound in cracked leather that looked older than the Alamo and twice as haunted. Dad's handwriting, spilling secrets worth more than blood, guts, and Bitcoin combined, with a neon yellow post-it slapped crooked on the cover, screaming, "For Lida, burn after reading," or "Burn it all down, baby girl." My hands shook worse than a caffeine crash after a 3-day hackathon, fingers numb as I flipped the cover, the air thick with that old paper smell that screams, "Skeletons in the closet," louder than a haunted house on Halloween. Serena hovered behind me, my bio-mom, still a stranger wrapped in Louboutins and billion-dollar armor, her Chanel perfume mixing with the metallic tang of the vault like money and misery in a blender. Jax guarded the door, earpiece jammed in, looking like a Secret Service reject who'd traded the suit for tactical gear and a "don't mess with me" glare. The ledger wasn't just numbers. It was a confession straight from the devil's diary, a hit list of the rich and reckless, a love letter dipped in poison, and a suicide note scribbled in invisible ink, all rolled into one hot mess of a family heirloom. Page 1 hit like a freight train. Serena Kane, $1 million payoff, 2000. Baby girl delivered, 9/15/00, raised as Voss, no contact. Then Victoria, Elena affair, $500K hush, 1989, child support rerouted via Cayman Shell number 47, ongoing. And the kicker that made my stomach do backflips, dozens of clients, politicians, even a senator with a star next to his name like he was teacher's pet, marked compromised in red ink that looked suspiciously like blood. Dad hadn't just embezzled, he'd blackmailed half of Texas to keep his empire afloat, squeezing secrets tighter than a cheapskate at a buffet. I snapped photos with my burner phone faster than a paparazzi at a Kardashian meltdown, heart doing the Macarena on steroids. "This is dynamite, y'all," I whispered, voice echoing off the steel walls like a ghost with a grudge. "Feds will cream their jeans harder than a rookie at his first rodeo." Serena's eyes glistened wetter than a Dallas downpour, lashes clumping. He documented everything, every dirty deal, every broken promise, to protect you or control you, maybe both. I kept flipping, pages crinkling like dry leaves in a dust devil, each entry a gut punch, offshore accounts labeled with code names, Pumpkin Patch, Golden Goose, Legacy Lockbox. Politicians who'd taken consulting fees to look the other way on zoning laws, CEOs who funneled kickbacks through fake charities, and me, entries from my first birthday. Lida's trust seeded 500K anonymous via SK Ventures. Every milestone, every win, Dad had been pulling strings from the shadows like a puppet master with a god complex. Last page, dated last week, smudged, like he'd written it in tears or prison sweat. If you're reading this, pumpkin, I'm gone or caged like the dog I became. The real fortune isn't in stocks or shells. It's in the ranch well number 3, old oil dry up behind the back pasture, coordinates in the back flap. Tell your mother I'm sorry for every lie that aged her soul. Tell Serena I never stopped loving her, even when I hated myself. And Lida, you were always the smartest play I ever made, the only bet that paid off clean. Coordinates. Oh, well. I laughed until it hurt, the sound bouncing off the vault walls like buckshot in a tin shed, tears streaming as the absurdity hit. Dad had buried treasure like a pirate with a spreadsheet and a guilty conscience, hiding the real Voss fortune under rusted pump jacks and longhorn crap. I hauled ass back to the ranch in Serena's Tesla, silent as a graveyard at midnight, fast as greed on Black Friday. Jax rode shotgun, rifle across his lap like a teddy bear for badasses, I scanning the horizon for threats that felt closer than the dust clouds behind us. The sun was barely peeking over the mesquite like a shy kid at show and tell when we hit the dirt road to well number 3. A rusted pump jack, creaking like it had arthritis and a bad attitude. I punched the coordinates into my phone. Dead center under the derrick, GPS blinking like it knew the joke was on us. Get the ground-penetrating radar. Stat, I told Jax. Voice steady despite the earthquake in my chest. He popped the trunk, pulled out gear that looked straight out of Jurassic Park. Screens, probes, beeps that sounded like R2-D2 on a bender. 10 minutes later, bing! Loud and clear. Metal box, 6 feet down, buried like a time capsule from hell. We dug like dogs after a bone in a cartoon chase, sweat soaking our shirts till they clung like wet paper towels, dust in our teeth gritty as regret. The box was Army surplus green, padlocked tighter than a banker's heart. I grabbed bolt cutters from the Tesla, because of course Serena traveled with those, and snapped it open like a wishbone at Thanksgiving. Inside, vacuum-sealed bricks of hundreds stacked neater than Whataburger napkins, gold bars stamped Pamp Suisse, gleaming like pirate booty under a flashlight, and a hard drive labeled Contingency in Dad's shaky Sharpie that looked like it had been through a war. Serena knelt in the caliche, blazer ruined with red dirt that had never come out, manicured chipped. How much we talkin'? Jax whistled low, the sound cutting through the cicadas. Whee! Cash? 50 mil easy, maybe 60 if the bands are tight. Gold? Another 30 at spot price. Hard drive? Priceless or a one-way ticket to prison, depends on the day. I plugged the drive into my rugged laptop, military grade, encrypted 6 ways to Sunday, files exploding across the screen like fireworks on the 4th of July. Offshore keys longer than a CVS receipt, wallet seeds for cold storage that could fund a small country, deeds to property scattered like confetti, a ranch in Wyoming bigger than Rhode Island, beachfront in Costa Rica with its own helipad, and a vineyard in Napa that produced Cabernet smoother than Dad's lies. Total liquid, $400 million in change. Dad's real rainy day fund. Untouchable by feds, by Victoria's greedy claws, by anyone but the holder of the ledger and the guts to claim it. My knees buckled harder than a drunk at last call, butt hitting the dirt as tears cut tracks through the grime on my cheeks like rivers through West Texas canyons. All those years I'd hustled till my fingers bled on keyboards, thinking I'd built it from scratch in a garage with Red Bull and Spite. Dad had seeded my first round, anonymously through Serena's VC firm that I'd idolized from afar. Every win, every zero on my net worth that Forbes drooled over, had his fingerprints smudged all over it like grease on a biscuit. Serena wrapped her arms around me, blazer be damned, holding me like I was 5 again and the world wasn't collapsing. He was proud, Lida. Twisted as a mesquite branch, but proud. Saw you outshine him before you could spell your name.
I sobbed into her shoulder. Ugly, snotty, the kind that leaves you hollowed out and reborn. Chest heaving like I'd run a marathon through hell. I hated him. Hated the lies, the games, the way he made me think I was self-made when he was the ghost in the machine. Now I don't know what I feel. Love, rage, grief, all of it tangled like Christmas lights in July. Love's messy, she murmured, rocking me in the dirt like we weren't billionaires knee-deep in buried treasure. So's family. Blood, choice, or both. It's a rodeo, not a blueprint. Victoria's endgame hit at noon like a tornado siren in July. My death had lured her out of hiding faster than free beer at a frat party. She'd lawyered up with some sleazy firm that advertised on late-night TV, demanding the estate probate yesterday like the judge was her personal Uber. Judge fast-tracked to hearing, smelling blood in the water thicker than shrimp gumbo. Serena and I rolled into the Dallas courthouse in matching black power suits that cost more than most people's cars. Zero mercy, all business, heels clicking like gunshots on marble. Victoria waddled in late, belly leading the charge like a parade float at the Cotton Bowl, mascara already running down cheeks that had seen one too many fillers. Trent was MIA, flipped state's evidence faster than a pancake at IHOP, hiding in witness protection with a new nose, a new name, and probably a new panic attack. The courtroom smelled like lemon polish, desperation, and the faint tang of somebody's Whataburger breakfast. Victoria's lawyer, a weasel in a cheap suit that screamed contingency fee, stood with a smirk oily as fried okra. Your Honor, with Lita Voss deceased in that tragic crash, my client is the sole surviving heir to the Voss fortune. I stood slow, dramatic as a telenovela reveal, chairs scraping loud enough to wake the dead. Objection, counselor. I'm breathing, kicking, and caffeinated. Gasps rippled through the gallery like a wave at Cowboy Stadium. Victoria spun so fast her belly nearly took out a bailiff, face slack as overcooked noodles. You're supposed to be alive and kicking harder than a mule with the burr under the saddle, I finished, slapping the ledger on the bench with a thud that echoed like Judgment Day. And here's Dad's confession. Every dime embezzled, every lie spun, every blackmail payout to keep the gravy train rolling. The judge, a no-nonsense Latina named Rodriguez with a gavel that could crack coconuts, flipped through pages, eyebrows climbing higher than gas prices in a hurricane. This is explosive. Bailiff, clear the gallery, now. Media, phones, all of it. Victoria lunged like a linebacker on fourth down, nails out, screeching. She's faking. That's not real. It's AI. It's Photoshop. It's blah. Serena stepped forward, voice steel under silk. It's authenticated. 6 ways to Sunday. Carbon-dated ink, chain of custody tighter than Fort Knox, forensic accountants on standby. And the baby? Paternity confirmed. Charles Voss, 99.999%. Incest voids any claim faster than a bad check at the bank. Victoria screamed, a primal wail that shattered the room like a glass at a Greek wedding, echoing off the wood paneling. Daddy promised! He said I'd have it all! The ranch, the money, the name!
Guards tackled her like she was a loose steer at the rodeo, cuffs slapping on as she kicked, bit, spat venom. I'll burn it down, all of it. You'll see. Judge Rodriguez banged the gavel harder than Thor's hammer. Order! Victoria Barlow, you're remanded for conspiracy to murder, wire fraud, blackmail, and about 6 other felonies that'll keep you in orange till your grandkids in college. Take her away, now. Victoria's eyes locked on mine as they dragged her out, mascara rivers carving canyons down her cheeks. This isn't over, Lita. Blood remembers. You'll pay. I didn't flinch, didn't blink, didn't give her the satisfaction. Yours ain't mine, sweetie, and memory's a 2-way street. Mom got released that afternoon, heart steady as a metronome, spirit steadier than a longhorn in a lightning storm. I picked her up in the Lambo, top down, country station blasting Miranda Lambert like a battle cry. We drove to the ranch with windows down. wind whipping away the hospital smell of bleach and bad news, her hair flying wild like it did in old photos. She clutched a paper bag of meds rattling like maracas, and the original wedding photo. Her and Dad, young and stupid in love, grins wide as the prairie. I parked by the porch swing that creaked like old bones, killed the engine. Mom. Gemma. I know everything. Serena, Victoria, the well, the ledger. All of it. She smiled, tired but real, eyes crinkling like tissue paper in a gift bag. Good. Secrets age you faster than cigarettes and cheap wine combined. Your daddy thought he was protecting us, ended up chaining us to his mistakes like anchors on a sinking ship. We sat on the swing, lemonade sweating in mason jars colder than a banker's heart, ice clinking like tiny bells. I told her about the well, the ledger, Serena's arms around me in the dirt. She listened, nodding like she'd known pieces all along, pieced together from late-night whispers and missing money. Your daddy was a fool, she said finally, voice soft as a lullaby, but strong as steel. But he loved hard. Loved you girls, loved me, loved the idea of legacy more than life. Built this empire thinking it'd keep us safe from the world. Ended up chaining us to his sins instead. I leaned my head on her shoulder, the wood warm from the sun. What now, Gamma? Empire's mine, but it feels like fool's gold. Now? She squeezed my hand, calluses from years of garden clubs and gala planning. We rebuild. On our terms. Brick by brick, zero by zero, heart by heart. You're the architect, baby girl. Draw the blueprint. The feds seized Voss Capital. Lock, stock, and barrel. Agents in windbreakers swarming like ants at a picnic. Clients got made whole from my 100 mil injection, plus the well stash that turned out closer to 420 mil after the accountant stopped drooling. Dad took a plea in a courtroom colder than a meat locker. 20 years, no parole, no appeals. I visited once, driving to Seagoville with a knot in my gut tighter than a calf rope. He looked small in the jumpsuit, shoulders hunched, eyes wet as a spring storm. I'm sorry, pumpkin, he rasped through the plexi, voice cracking like old leather. For the lies, the girls, the money, all of it. I know. I didn't hug the glass, didn't reach, didn't soften. But sorry don't fix broken, Dad. It don't glue the pieces or erase the cracks. He nodded, tears carving canyons down cheeks that had once charmed boardrooms. The ranch is yours. Always was. Make it better than I ever could. I left without goodbye, heels clicking final as a gavel. Victoria delivered in November. A boy. Charles IV, squalling like he knew the mess he'd been born into. Prison nursery for the first year, orange onesies and state-issued diapers. I set up a trust. 10 mil locked till he's 25, therapy mandatory 3 times a week, college fund bulletproof. Serena added another 5 for good measure. No strings, but love. We didn't attend the birth. Some bridges you nuke from orbit with a side of good riddance. Serena moved into the guest house, slow, like a deer testing thin ice on a stock pond. First night, awkward silence over takeout brisket. Second week, we cooked breakfast together. Eggs over easy, bacon crisp, laughter starting to bubble. She taught me venture pitches that closed 9-figure rounds. I taught her TikTok dances that went viral with ranch dogs as backup dancers. Mom, Gamma, watched from the porch swing, grinning like she'd won the lottery and the Powerball in the same week. One night, fire pit crackling hotter than gossip at a church picnic, stars thick as glitter in a snow globe, Serena handed me a new ledger. Blink. Leather-bound, smelling like possibility. Your turn, kiddo. Write the story. I cracked it open, pen steady for the first time in months. First line, day 1. Family ain't blood, it's choice. And I choose truth. Epilogue hit like a Texas sunset. Slow, then all at once, painting the sky in colors nobody could fake. I rebranded the ranch Voss Legacy Ranch.
Longhorns roaming free, solar farm panels gleaming like a middle finger to oil barons, crypto mining rigs humming in the old barn louder than cicadas in July. Serena's VC merged with my DeFi protocol in a deal that made Wall Street weep. We hit a 10-bill valuation by spring, unicorns stampeding in our wake. Mom started a foundation, Gamma's Girls, scholarships for coding kids from trailer parks and forgotten towns, turning Red Bull dreams into reality one laptop at a time. Victoria's appeals ran out of steam faster than a pickup on empty in the desert. She aged out of designer jumpsuits into state blues that hung loose on a frame worn thin by rage and regret. The baby, Charlie, visited the ranch at 18 months, toddling after Longhorns with Serena's eyes and my stubborn chin, calling her Nana and me Aunt Lida with a lisp that melted harder than butter on a biscuit. No Voss, no baggage, just love, pure and chosen.
Dad died in year 7. Heart attack in the prison yard, collapsed mid-shuffleboard like the game finally called time. I didn't cry at the funeral, didn't wear black, didn't pretend. But I buried him under the live oak by the well where his treasure had slept. Headstone simple as his lies weren't. Charles Voss, loved hard, lost harder. I stood there at dusk, wind in my hair, whipping like a flag of surrender and victory. Ledger in my pocket now thick with my own entries. Deals closed in boardrooms and barnyards. Lives changed one line of code at a time. A sister found in the dirt. A mother reclaimed from the shadows. Serena joined me, arm around my waist, solid as the ranch itself. "You okay, baby girl?" I nodded, tears finally coming. Cleansing, not crushing. Washing the dust from my soul. Yeah, I'm home. For real this time. Behind us, the ranch lights flickered on, one by one, like stars choosing to shine after a long, dark night. Family ain't perfect. Ain't blood, ain't money, ain't legacy handed down like a cursed heirloom. It's choice. Messy, hard, beautiful choice. And nobody messes with a Voss girl who learned to code her own destiny, line by line, 0 by 0, heart by beating heart.
If this story touched your heart or made you feel every twist of pain and justice, don't forget to hit like and subscribe for more powerful stories like this. Your support means everything and keeps these emotions alive on screen. And before you go, leave your valuable thoughts in the comments. I'd love to hear how this story made you feel.